Did you know that failing to follow Minnesota landlord laws could cost you thousands of dollars or lawsuits? I'm John Scribante with Real Property Management, located in Minneapolis. Let's dive into what this really means. There are 4 laws that every landlord should know in Minnesota. We'll talk about each one of these. So first of all, the duty to maintain habitable premises. So what is that? Well, landlords must keep rental units safe, habitable, and compliant with health and safety codes. This is broadly construed, which means that it covers anything related to health and safety. So make sure that your heat is set to 68 degrees from October 1 to April 30th. It's important that that temperature is maintained throughout the house, not just by the thermostat. You need to provide running water and hot water, and you need to provide an air conditioner as long as it's included in the rent. So if you allow window air conditioners, but air conditioning is not specifically included in the rent, that's not of your concern. That would be a tenant responsible item. But if you're providing central air conditioning and you've advertised it in the rent, it needs to be working throughout the summer. You need to provide working refrigerators, provide a working toilet. Specifically, if there's only one in the house, it always has to be working. If there are multiple, then you've got a little bit of time. It wouldn't be considered an emergency. You need to provide a reasonable energy efficiency in the building that they're occupying. Make sure that the windows are sealed up, that doors can close. Address pest controls and structural repairs promptly. And everything needs to work as intended. Basically, fit for use, needs to be safe, and in reasonable repair. Now, tenants can withhold their rent and pay it into escrow if you fail to maintain these things, which can potentially result in a court battle. So you want to regularly inspect your property, document all maintenance requests, and respond within a reasonable time frame, such as 14 days for non-emergencies. In an emergency situation, you're going to want to show intent to correct that immediately and not have any delay. Regardless of whose fault it is, you need to get the building in a fit-for-use condition immediately and then sort out who's to be charged for the repairs. If a tenant reports, say, a broken heater in January, you need to fix it quickly. And, it could be their cause, but you still need to fix it right away. So number 2, security deposits. So what is it? Landlords can collect a security deposit, but in Minnesota, with the exception of Minneapolis, there's really no maximum amount of security deposit, but practically speaking, you're usually collecting 1 to 2 months of rent in the form of a security deposit. So when you return that, you need to return it with 1% simple interest within 21 days of the end of the tenancy. Now, what that means from a practical point of view is if you have charges, you need to get those resolved and figured out within the first 3 weeks following the tenancy. If you decide that you're going to take a charge, you need to document that charge and provide that in a written statement to them within that 21 days as well. It needs to be based on the preponderance of evidence, which means you need to have proof that the charge was caused by the residents and not wear and tear. Now, why does this matter? Well, noncompliance can lead to penalties equal to the amount plus the interest. So if you had a $200 charge that you didn't do properly, you may need to return the $200 plus a penalty of $200 plus the interest. So keep detailed records of the property condition at move-in, do a detailed photographic video move-in inspection of all areas of the property, and so that you have excellent records when it comes time to move out. Because any disputes, if you can't prove it, it's likely you're not going to be able to charge for it. So all items must be prorated as well and depreciated. You can only charge for the damaged area. So for instance, if there's a wall that's damaged, you can charge for the hole in the wall plus the painting to repair that hole, but not necessarily painting the whole room. Same with carpeting. If there's damage in the carpeted areas, you can charge for perhaps that 1 square foot of carpet on a prorated basis. So carpeting in Minnesota is generally 5 to 7 years of useful life. So if you had $1,000 carpet, it's 5 years old, it's worth $200 today. They damaged half the carpet, then you can only charge them $100 for that carpet. Even if you have to replace the whole thing, you can only charge them for the damage. All right, number 3 is notice of entry. This is one that gets a lot of landlords mixed up. You need to provide 24 hours of written notice before entering a unit for repairs, inspections, showings, essentially any legitimate business reason. Can't just go in for curiosity. You'll need to provide written notice, and the best practice is to not only give written notice, but get acknowledgement that they've received that notice. And if you have a particularly difficult resident, you might want to post that notice on their door and give them 24 hours so that it's evident and you have proof in front of a court. Sending a letter as well is also best practice when it comes to in the U.S. Postal Service. That's specifically written in the statute. So you can only enter between 8 a.m. and 8 p.m. unless the tenant agrees otherwise, or if it's an emergency. Emergencies, you can give a good faith effort to give notice and then enter. But if you enter in an emergency with good faith, you'll always want to leave a note on the kitchen counter or in an obvious spot indicating that you were in the unit. All right, so use email sparingly. Written notices with a posted on the door or in the U.S. Postal Service is the best way to do that. All right, so number 4, proper eviction. So proper eviction, really there's 2 types of evictions that we see quite often. First is a notice to cure. So a notice to cure could be, a dismantled smoke detector, abandoned vehicle in the driveway, an unauthorized animal, something of that nature. You're going to want to give them a notice to cure. Now, there's no statutory day period for a notice to cure. It's really based on the severity of the violation. A missing smoke detector is a life safety issue and could be a 1-day notice to cure. An abandoned vehicle, on the other hand, could be a 14-day notice to cure. Same with an animal, an unauthorized animal, is that you want to give the cure period based on the severity of the issue. Now, a notice of non-payment of rent is a statutory 14-day period. There are some federal laws that make it a 30-day period if they have a federally backed mortgage, but the Minnesota statute is 14 days. There are also different municipalities that you'll want to check. St. Louis Park, Minneapolis, they have different statutory limit for those cities. So you want to file a court action if they don't comply, and only the sheriff can evict a tenant. You don't have self-help evictions in Minnesota, so you can't just go change the locks, you can't turn off the utilities, you can't do anything. You have to follow the court procedure, and then the sheriff will be the one that would forcibly remove a tenant. Okay. And of course, the tenant can cure either of those by complying with either paying the rent, whatever. So illegal evictions can lead to lawsuits and fines and tenant reinstatement. You don't want to get caught in that trap. You'll also want to consider using a process server. These are people that will post the notice for you, give you an affidavit of service, give you photographs. They'll even send the notice in the mail for full compliance. And then you have an affidavit that you can hand the court in to prove that this notice was given. So with that, these laws not only help you stay compliant, but builds trust with your tenants and saving you a lot of time and money. So take a look at our website for more information. Thank you for your time.